Given that it feels to most of us that we've been laboring under the disastrous Trump regime for 3 years, when in fact it's only been about 3 months, I thought it might be worthwhile for all of us to sit down, take a deep breath, and enjoy some political soul food, some political comfort food. And then it occurred to me that we haven't caught up with our friend Jessica Tarlov of Fox News in a while. And sure enough, we have a lot to catch up on because in light of Donald Trump's disastrous tariff policies, his cratering polling numbers, and his multiple humiliating walkbacks and retreats, Jessica Tarlov has been laying the smackdown on Fox News. So we're going to catch up with that. But before we do, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. All right, friends, we got a lot of clips to look at. My God, more than 10. So let's jump right on in. Jessica Tarlov doing the Lord's work over at Fox News, trying to bring some sanity to a network that otherwise might not have it.
It's great to be here.
Around the table.
Around the table.
You're saying that now?
To be
Good
back
opening
again.
line.
Thank you. Trump even admitted that it wasn't the art of the deal or be cool. He said he was watching the bond market. And that's what decided this. He had to cave. I think CNBC's Steve Leisman, he said he didn't just flinch, he ducked. There are trillions still lost. And our very own Charlie Gasparino has been on for the last couple of hours saying that he wished it weren't so, but that the truth is that the White House capitulated. We still have tons of tariffs on, even our closest trading partners. They still don't make any sense. There's a lack of clarity on the specific numbers for Mexico and Canada.
I love it. Her MAGA news hosts, most of them are looking down. Jesse Waters is the only one who has enough wherewithal to look straight ahead. But she's right. We did a video about how Charlie Gasparino, a Fox News host, said, listen, I'm a Trump guy. I want him to succeed. But no, he folded. He caved because the economy and the markets were starting to take a serious downturn that for some reason he didn't anticipate. So they don't like being confronted with this fact that their guy folded. But that's exactly what happened. Here's another clip.
But what always sticks out to me when we go on this, on this Trumpian merry-go-round is the ritualistic humiliation that he subjects the people who work for him to. So Basson says this was the plan all along. So you were okay then with being made out to be a complete liar because you've been doing interviews on our network, going on the Sunday show, saying absolutely not, that we're not capitulating on this. We're not going back on it. Caroline Levitt calling fake news as recently as yesterday. Lutnick, he was on with you multiple times, it felt like, or it was the world's longest interview, talking about how this isn't a joke and, we'll be a manufacturing economy, which we don't even want to be. And
so she's talking specifically about the 90-day pause. As you know, multiple Trump administration officials said there would be no pause, there would be no exemptions, there would be no delays. This is going full steam ahead exactly as Donald Trump intended. And then wouldn't you know it, not only was there a 90-day pause after the bond market saw a massive sell-off and a stock market crash, but also there have subsequently been exemptions in terms of the tariffs, particularly with regards to Chinese manufactured smartphones and computers. So Trump just made complete ass out of many of his own top advisors and spokespeople. And I love the fact how she's making it personal. She's like, you all interviewed. And Jesse Waters, he was on your show. So she's making it personal, saying that, they lied to you. And Trump exposed the lie. Good stuff. Here's another clip.
I'm looking at how we got to this point, and obviously the market had to do it, the bond market in particular, once Japan started selling them off. And did you know earlier this afternoon that Greek bonds were a safer investment than U.S. 30 years? Can you believe that? The Greeks?
Jessica, you don't even know what you're talking about.
Yes, I do.
You don't even know what a bond is. Now, Judge Jeanine, Jessica keeps on saying that Trump caved. How is this a cave if he got 75 nations to get to the negotiating table and redo their tariffs against the United States?
Me to answer the question?
So again, they can't contend with the facts, so they have to insult her and then move on to the next person. They're totally screwed. It's funny. She's always outnumbered, never outgunned. And watching them have to react to this way because they're so screwed on the facts is so delightful just seeing that. Here's another clip.
If this upsets Democrats, you have then made another odd group that you have sided with. Tesla vandals, migrant gangs, men invading women's spaces, and now communist China. It is hysterical to me what Trump forces you to defend. If this
So that's gut-filled with pure code. Nobody's defending China. People are pointing out that this will only benefit China if Trump keeps these disastrous tariffs in place, and the inconsistency, he is very likely to drive our trading partners and our allies to China if they view China as a more stable trading partner. Pretty simple. That's a risk we probably shouldn't take. Here's another clip.
Jessica, how do you explain Harry Enton saying that Trump is a soaring eagle, not a lame duck?
Well, there was another Harry Enton segment a little bit later where he said that Trump's economic approval, it's the worst ever for a president at this point. So that feels kind of ostrich. It was a soaring eagle that he's signing so many executive orders. So soaring eagle in terms of not wanting to deal with Congress and wanting as much executive power as possible. But the thing that really matters and that got him elected was how he was going to manage the economy. And that's in the toilet. So that's fallen 20 points since inauguration. Majorities oppose tariffs. 70% say that they're going to raise prices.
She's so good. I love it. Oh, yeah. Well, CNN's Harry Enton referred to God Emperor Trump as a soaring eagle. Yeah, which was, by the way, a stupid turn of phrase by Harry Enton, but he was referencing the number and rate of executive orders signed, which, by the way, these same MAGA Fox hosts bitch all the time when a Democrat's in office. I can't believe that he's ruling by executive order. I can't believe he's signing executive orders. What about Congress? But then when their guy's in office, they're like, hell yeah, as many executive orders as possible. So again, stupid phrase from Harry Enton. What matters more is the approval rating and the popular support, and Trump doesn't have it. Trump is unpopular, increasingly unpopular, and I just love that Pirro just suspiciously, conveniently forgot about that or didn't see that part, and Jessica had it up her sleeve to hit her with it. Love it. Here's another clip.
He's just transparent.
He's also trying to market this as the fact that he paused the tariffs, and he absolutely did not. He canceled the reciprocal tariffs, but we are still, as Dana said, tariffing the entire globe 10%, even the people that we have good relationships with, like Australia. And there was questioning of Jameson Greer, our trade representative, earlier this week about why we're possibly doing that, and he had absolutely no answer for it. The Yale Budget Lab just came out with new figures based on yesterday's tariff numbers that says that this will cost each American household $4,400. This is the highest tariff rate since 1909.
Who came up with that?
The Yale Budget Lab.
Oh, not the Yale Budget Lab.
Oh, I'm sorry that I didn't pull it out of a cartoon or something wherever you got your point.
We'll see it tomorrow.
I love it. I actually got mine from an accredited university with experts, not a cartoon. I love that. Like, so Yale, they do this all the time. Oh, the Nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office. Oh, Yale. Oh, meanwhile, if any of those same sources validated what Trump had to say, they'd be praising. Did you know that the Yale Budget Lab actually said that what Donald Trump is doing is genius? Again, total hypocrisy because they can't beat her on the facts. Love to see it. Here's another clip.
Calculate things. The Economic Anxiety Index for the U.S., it's a chart. And the number is off the chart now. They can't even keep it on the page. The CEO of Amazon came out and said, these tariffs will be passed on to the consumers. Our sellers will 100% not be paying them. You will be. There will be, I think it's 70.
Like the corporate income tax.
Bezos?
No, I'm not. I'm talking about Andy Jassy, who's the CEO of it, actually.
Again, totally outmatched on the facts. Okay, you don't like charts, you don't like universities. Okay, well, here's a chart measuring economic sentiment, and it's not good for Donald Trump. It's off the charts in the worst possible way. Also, you guys really like successful business people. Well, here's the CEO of one of the most successful companies in the world saying that no, they're not going to eat the tariffs. They're going to pass on the cost to the consumer, which again totally deflates this myth about tariffs perpetuated by the Trump administration that somehow these magnanimous, charitable businesses will just eat the cost. Like, hey, we don't need our profits. We don't want to maximize our profits, and we certainly want to spare the consumer any sort of pressure. So we're like Atlas. We're like the Titan Atlas. We'll just carry the world on us. Okay, we'll just do that. Okay, sure. Again, not true. Most people know it. And again, she's hitting them with a specific example. Good stuff. Here's another clip.
Sounds like the corporate income tax.
No, I'm not. I'm talking about Andy Jassy, who's the CEO of it, actually. you guys are talking about this from a very privileged seat where you can say things like, no, you're not. Okay.
Bringing jobs to middle America is not privileged.
Okay, but this is what it's doing. Microsoft announces they're not opening up a new data center in Ohio because of this. Auto plants are.
And
how many manufacturing
Yes, it really, they came, no reason. Walmart saying.
Again, bringing up examples of companies that are not going to be producing or not pursuing, expansion under this new tariff regime. We've seen layoffs as a consequence of Donald Trump's proposed tariffs as well. So again, she's citing specific examples in addition to studies, facts, and figures, but they have no way to compensate for any of this.
That had nothing to do with this.
How many manufacturing
Yes, it really, they came, no reason. Walmart saying we can't do our economic forecasting. And you said, what do Democrats know about bringing back these jobs? Talk about the Chips and Science Act. Talk about how many manufacturing jobs came back under Joe Biden.
Wait a minute.
What chips plant was built under Joe Biden?
Yeah.
What chips plant, Jessica?
Names of them, all of the money that came back.
I think it was ice chips.
That's not plants.
So under the Chips and Science Act, or as a consequence of the Chips and Science Act, we saw manufacturing investments skyrocket. And as a matter of fact, we're seeing the semiconductor chips investment and manufacturing investment stall and crater under Donald Trump because of part of these tariffs and also because he wants to gut the Chips and Science Act. So yes, there was investment, there was production and construction of factories. This doesn't happen overnight, be it Biden or Trump. But yes, all the data show that we were starting to see a manufacturing, specifically a semiconductor manufacturing zeitgeist under President Biden, and under Donald Trump, he's killing it with his terrible policies. Here's another clip.
We found out that there are people who are between the ages of 1 and 4 are getting Social Security, that we've got something like $69 million of taxpayers who are dead.
Okay, but let me
just finish.
Right.
But
Thank you. Yeah, Janine Pierce, so dumb. So we found out that 1 to 4 year olds, they get Social Security checks. They're receiving the Social Security benefits of deceased parents. You moron. That's what Jessica Tarlov is pointing. Look at Jessica's face. She's like, that's not waste, fraud, and abuse, dumbass. That's exactly how the dispensation of funds go. This is what happens. These are the knots that MAGA finds themselves twisting. I shouldn't even say that. They're actively twisting themselves in these knots to try to defend Donald Trump's disastrous policies. They're making a choice. Maybe just don't act like a cult. Maybe when Trump gets shit wrong, just don't defend it. Maybe call it out. Or if you're not going to call it out, at least don't defend it. But they can't help it. The 4 of the 5 feel the need to die on every hill. Every metaphorical hill for Donald Trump. It's just totally dumb. We'll continue.
Your hearts go out to them and people affected by this. It also so overwhelming feeling that there are so many incidents happening between planes and helicopters lately. And I hope that this is the end of it. But it feels like we're having to do a lot of coverage like this, which is devastating.
It is. Under the Trump administration, there was the first fatal commercial plane crash in 16 years. And there was just another one where in Washington, D.C., where a helicopter crashed. I think it was D.C. or maybe it was New York City. It just happened a couple of days ago, and that's what they're referring to. Here's another clip.
I would say juxtapose that view that we had of all the Democrats saying the same thing in these videos that they all put together with their talking points to the cabinet meeting yesterday, where President Trump opens it up to the cameras for an hour plus and goes around the room and asks every single cabinet member what they're working on. What have they accomplished? What are they doing tomorrow? What are they doing in the future for the American people? And you can see what they're for and what they're doing. So when it comes to the credibility game, the Trump administration has.
And the press weighed in too.
That's right. Yeah.
They also all said, I just want to start by saying, President Trump, there's never been a better president in the history of America, and we're all obsessed with you, and you're perfect.
I heard what they're doing for the American people. Really? I also heard that, but I focused on what they're doing.
So you heard the mandatory talking points about how fantastic he is.
I don't think that was mandatory. I think it
really?
was
Oh, he didn't say explicitly. Now it's your turn, Brooke Rollins, to tell me that I'm amazing.
I mean, at least he had a cabinet meeting.
He had a cabinet meeting.
There were cabinet meetings under President Biden. Again, not sure exactly what they're talking about here, but yeah, it was super creepy, like the North Korea level fawning praise. Like if I ever heard Democrats refer to a Democratic president about that, I would also be disgusted. It's like, listen, a level of respect for your boss, the president of the United States, obviously appropriate. But if you're like beginning it with some sort of preamble about Mr. President, you're honestly, you're like George Washington and Abraham Lincoln had a baby on an American flag, but like not in a gay way, right? Because obviously they were two men, but you know what I'm saying? Like spiritually, like it's just like right there. And like you're just so amazing. You're like smarter and taller and stronger and faster. It's so petulant, the sort of shit that they were saying in this cabinet meeting that no other president needs. Like no other president has ever been so insecure as to need this. It's so creepy and weird and gross, and it should be made fun of forever. But Fox won't do it. So here's another clip.
Leverage to take on Donald Trump?
Isn't the art of the deal that's just an opening gambit, right?
Okay.
We'll ease our way into that.
Yeah.
I think that China knows that there are tens of millions of Americans that own small businesses that rely on goods from China that are going to be completely bankrupted by these tariffs. And that's really what this is about. They can say what they want about Hollywood, but that's what it's going to come down to, that people need to be able to go, to Walmart and get the things that they want. And that's what the CEO of Walmart is saying. That's what people like Ken Langone is saying, calling what Trump's doing BS. This is someone who's a strong supporter of his. Ken Griffin as well. I was struck by what Larry Fink said this morning on CNBC. This is the head of BlackRock. The U.S. post-World War II was a global stabilizer. We are now a global destabilizer. Yes, I do believe we're probably starting, if not already, in a recession. This is not a pandemic. This is not a financial crisis. This is something we've created. And that's the trend line here, that smart people who create jobs, who are really rich, who have done well, who Donald Trump respects, know that what he is doing is about his own fantasies and not about the realities of the economics here. The dollar is weakening. People are dumping U.S. assets. They don't think that we're a good bet. And the American public, the lower classes that Scott Bessent is so concerned with, are losing their minds. Consumer sentiment dropped to its second lowest level since 1952 when they started recording this. Do you think that's a good thing, that the American public who need to be able to get up and go to the grocery store and get that flat screen TV, right, if that's what they want?
Do you think the last 40 years of trade have been good?
Yeah, they have been good.
For the middle class. Have it been good for the middle class, Jessica?
If you're talking specifically about protectionist policies,
about jobs
auto
and factories and honor, in the Rust Belt and across the country.
What's more important,
people got hammered by cheap
Jesse,
Chinese
why
goods
are there tens of thousands of manufacturing jobs available? Because people don't want them. That's what folks who are smart about this are saying. We can't have a manufacturing economy. We don't have the workers for it. We don't have the interest in it.
She's talking about it.
Again, listen, nobody is going to sit here and say, and Jessica herself won't say, that globalization and free trade did not have negative consequences for sectors and segments of the American people. Of course it did. But globalization is inevitable. That is the trajectory, and there's no turning it around. These protectionist policies are a relic of the past. They are not coming back, and they quite frankly haven't delivered any of the results that Trump has promised either, by the way. So he's failing on his own terms. But again, just what a brutal series of fact checks from Jessica Tarlov. Here are a couple of other clips.
Much more valuable to be untethered from China.
And to see these deals get better and better, you're going to have Israel, you're going to have South Korea, Japan is going to be first, Italy's coming on Wednesday, El Salvador is something unrelated on Monday. But little by little, all these deals, you're going to be hearing the positive news about other reconfigurations of our trade deal. All these deals are going to be better, marginally better or much better. The EU is going to be fascinating.
I don't know why you think that that's going to be the case. He says now, Trump says that we have raw deals with Canada and Mexico. He negotiated the USMCA himself. He does not have a good track record of doing this.
So you're talking about the USMCA. I'm not sure what Canada's doing. I just
Joe Biden did no trade deals.
That's not true.
Vietnam,
first of all, that's absolutely
textiles.
not true.
That is true.
There were no trade deals under the Biden administration.
Trade deals that move markets or goods.
Australia doesn't even take our beef. We lost 4 million jobs.
So again, just a couple of, see how she constantly has to be heckled and interrupted? Again, she points out the facts. Okay, so you say that these deals will be better. You have no evidence for that. And as a matter of fact, we have evidence to the contrary, because a deal that Trump bitches about the most is the USMCA. He negotiated it. So he's objectively terrible at it. And you always lose the debate. You will always lose because we can use Trump and Trump's own words against you. And so then, I don't know anything about the USMCA. And then you have to have, she used to work for the DOJ, the blonde. I'm blanking on her name. Well, Joe Biden never negotiated trade. Again, number one, that's stupid. So when Jessica says, wait, no trade deals under the Biden administration? Okay, well, none that none that were major. Even if that were true, it doesn't change the fact that Donald Trump negotiated the deal that he's complaining about, so he objectively sucks. You lose. You lose every debate. It's so funny. Lose. That's why you have to outnumber this girl. That's why you have to outnumber and heckle and interrupt and try to back each other up against Jessica Tarlov, because you will always lose the debate against her. So here we are, like 20 minutes in. But we'll see where this goes. Here's another clip.
Something Democrats could never do.
So, all right, Jessica, let's talk about it, because it really does seem like a script, right? In January, it was threat to democracy. And in February, it was a constitutional crisis. And then now we have the agent of chaos. And it is tiresome when you feel like if there's any type of response to the efficacy of this current Trump administration, well, it's certainly not going to be in a script that's perpetuated across your party.
Well, I did not get the memo. No one sent me a script. And there are only so many synonyms for out of his mind. So people are doing their interviews and they're coming up with chaos because, as Jesse said, we have felt this way since he came down the golden escalator. And for some people, even before that. But I don't know if that was poll tested or not. The American public is seeing this and they're feeling it. Donald Trump's approval rating down into the low 40s. He's down 20 points in terms of managing the economy. He's still above water on immigration, but he had his first major rebuke from the Supreme Court yesterday, who said that they have to return the Maryland father who.
So I got a couple more, but we'll stop there. I just love that. This idea that, what about the Democrats' response? Listen, there's a lot to complain about the Democrats for. We need to get our shit together, but Donald Trump is not doing so well. He is objectively unpopular. He's increasingly unpopular. His one area of historic strength, which was economic management. I disagree that that's on the merits, that that's what it ever was, but he always polled very well. Now he's underwater. It's the anchor around his ankle. I love the fact that she's bringing that out. Jessica Tarlov, again, has the hardest job in legacy media. She goes into the lion's den and she comes out with fur every time. Great stuff. We'll definitely be keeping an eye on it, and hopefully this will get you through the next few days. In the meantime, let me know what you think in the comments.